This is Adam Watson. You're listening to the Darkslinger Mafia podcast. We have two interviews for you today, featuring Lucas Kettner and Floyd Sumner. Both interviews were conducted at the I Like Comic Con that happened on February 11th, 2018 in Ridgefield, Washington. So I'm here at the I Like Comic Con with my good friend Lucas Kettner. Lucas, how you doing?
Good, man. How you doing?
Doing pretty well. So you're probably best known for Witch Doctor, but you did just release this, right?
Yeah, there's a new series. The trade paperback just came out called Kill the Minotaur. It's also from Skybound, same series, same publisher as Witch Doctor. And that, it's 180 pages, 6-issue limited series. And yeah, it's just basically a retelling of the Theseus and the Labyrinth and the Minotaur myth, but with kind of a Lovecraftian sci-fi bend to it. Like the writers, Christian Canamesa and Chris Picetto, who are probably best known for writing the video game Red Dead Redemption, kind of put their own twist on it, and they really get into, like, you know, what could be behind a myth that weird. Because all the myths are weird, and so they were interested in just, like, you know, if this really happened as sort of a fantastical story, like, what would that look like? How would the characters treat each other? How would they act? You know, what could be behind the weirder elements, like the weird magic golden thread in the labyrinth, that gets explained. And eventually you get to find out sort of why the labyrinth and the Minotaur are there in the first place.
That sounds fantastic.
Yeah, it's cool. It was a really fun book to work on. There was a lot of research went into trying to get the look of it, especially like the Minoan civilization and the ancient Greeks, and I varied it a little bit because it still needed to, at the time, Minoans and Greeks, their style of dress and armor and weapons and stuff weren't distinctive enough to read on a comic book page when you're not drawing every single little detail.
Right.
So we really tried to give more of a simplified look to the costuming, at least. The architecture is all pretty on point from what I can from the research I've done, and then we really tried to give separate the two cultures by color. So the Minoans are all warm, oranges, reds, angry, imperial hues, and then because the Athenians, the Greeks, were defeated in the war between Athens and Crete, they're more submissive colors, like blues, silvers, sort of like cold gold colors. You know, it's to contrast all the hotter colors and stuff like that.
Well, that's very interesting.
Yeah.
Who did the coloring in it?
The colorist is amazing. His name's Jean-François Beaulieu, who I think is one of the best colorists in the business. He also recently did the Skybound series Green Valley. He's an amazing painter. So when we did the trade paperback cover, I did a version that was like inked with like some ink washes and stuff like that. But he really went in, and I told him to just go nuts. Like I was basically like, let's make this illustration by both of us, and really, you know, get out your paintbrushes and really get in there, so we can do like almost like a Clash of the Titans homage on the cover. Oh yeah.
Yeah, the cover looks fantastic. The whole series looks
Thanks,
fantastic.
man.
I'm gonna have to purchase that one and read it here pretty soon. So then I'll have some better questions for you for the next podcast. So, what do you got coming up in 2018?
Well, I'm working with one of my favorite writers, James Asmus. We're just getting started on a new series that we don't have a title for yet, but it's kind of like, it's got an adult, slightly more adult Goosebumps type vibe. So it's like kind of it takes place in modern Florida, and it has to do with strange things going on in an old folks' home. And one of the things I really like about all of James's work is that he's able to find a really human core to the characters. So while his stories may be about superheroes or magic or cults or something like that, those are the flavor to the story, but they're not what the story's about. And he really knows what he really knows how to articulate what he wants a story to be about, and that's something. When we first decided we wanted to work together, he shared like 10 different pitches with me of just stuff that had been rattling around his head, and each one started with like a core idea, like this is about, this is a story about, a poor relationship with money, or this is a story about fear of death and aging and stuff like that. So it's like it always starts at this really great place, and then he creates these really great, funny situations, exciting horror scenes and stuff like that. And it's all just to fit that central element. And I think that's the reason a lot of his stuff is so successful, is that he's able to cover all that stuff.
Do you know when that's going to start seeing release, or is it too early to tell at the moment?
It's too early to tell, but
okay.
We are actively making the comics right now. We're shooting for September or October.
October.
It's something that would be really fitting for a Halloween type release, like around in that season in the fall.
Do you know who the publisher is going to be?
We are going to be doing it through Image.
Okay.
And this is a book that's not announced yet. So, I'm trying not to give too many details or the title or anything, just to say that we are working on this really cool project. It will be through Image, and we're really excited.
So if it hasn't been announced yet, then this is a Darkslinger Mafia exclusive. So.
That's right. There you go. Yeah.
So, you have any other cons that you're planning on doing in 2018?
Yeah, in just a little while, on March 1st through the 4th, I'll be in Seattle at the Emerald City Comic Con, and I do Rose City Comic Con in Portland, Oregon every year. I'm not sure exactly when that's going to be, because
I think September.
September. Okay.
I think so.
So I'll be there for that. It's possible I will be doing San Diego again. If the gears get rolling with this book. We're trying to weigh our options on, it's very expensive to go to San Diego. So
right.
It's like we're trying to weigh against, like, all right, well, how much, do we have couches to crash on? Right,
it's a risk reward type thing.
Yeah, but if you have a new book that you're pushing, it's a really good thing to do, to go to San Diego and be visible. It's possible that I'll be doing New York Comic Con, but not a for sure thing yet. The amazing Zach Davison, who does a great comic called Narrow Road. He's a very accomplished manga translator. We've been talking for a year or two about, like, sometime we need to do New York Comic Con together, and we'll split the cost, and it'll be great. And so we're kind of shooting to do that this year, but we'll see how it goes.
All right. Well, looks like people have a few places they can find you. Where can they find you online? You
can find me online on Twitter. I'm just at Lucas Kettner. My name's kind of weird. It's Lucas with a K, and then Ketner.
I'll put that in the show notes too, so that people have no problem.
I've got a website that I rarely update. I've got a Facebook art page. I'm on Instagram. I need to do that more often.
What are you on in Instagram?
I think just my name.
Okay.
Yeah, I think it's just if you look up my name, spelled with the K, Lucas with a K, Kettner, it should come up.
Okay, I'll put that in the show notes as well.
Okay.
Well, thank you very much for taking the time to talk with us, Lucas.
Absolutely. Thanks for talking with me.
I'm here with Floyd Sumner of Planet F Studios at the I Like Comic Con happening in Ridgefield, Washington. Well, it's not going to be happening by the time you listen to this, but it was happening when we recorded this podcast. Currently. So, Floyd, how you doing?
Doing good. Doing real great. It's a good show. And, I'm having a good time.
Yeah?
Yep.
So, you currently are not working on any comics, but you've done some comics in the past.
Correct.
When's the last time you did a comic?
A comic or a publication?
Either.
Of my own?
Doesn't matter.
Oh. Well, the last comic work I did was for a friend of mine who, I don't know if there's anyone out there that remembers Jimmy Boogeyman Valiant. He was a wrestler for the East Coast Wrestling, and I think he did some WWE stuff. But he's older now. And so this friend of mine, we did small press together way back way back in the 90s. And he does a comic called Magnet Man.
Magnet Man. Okay.
Yeah. And he also hooked up with this Jimmy Valiant. And so he hangs out at like his wrestling camp. He has a wrestling camp now in like, I think it's like South Carolina or North Carolina. And so he put out a Boogeyman comic. It's called Boogeyman Jam. And so he asked me to do a couple pages. And so I did a 2-page story. That was the last thing, and that was probably about a couple years ago.
A couple years ago?
Yeah.
Okay. So what are you primarily doing art-wise now?
Art-wise, I'm primarily just working on, currently I just got done working on doing sketch cards for Topps for Wacky Packages, the 50th anniversary set, and this current new set that's coming up in March, I think it's going to be released. Also, Garbage Pail Kids, the new Garbage Pail Kids, We Hate the 80s set that just came out in January. So I did a lot of sketch cards for those. And if you aren't familiar with sketch cards, those are the original pieces of art, 2.5 inch by 3.5 inch. That's inserted into packs randomly.
Right, it's like 1 pack per box, right?
I believe so, something like that.
Yeah.
But they sell it in so many different variants now. They have blaster packs, they have, dual packs, they have all this other stuff. So I currently did that for Topps. Just finished, albeit late, doing sketch cards for Mystery Science Theater 3000 set.
Oh, that's really
coming
cool.
out. That's coming out from R.R. Parks Cards. And I'm not sure what the release date is on that, although I do know that it was recently listed in previews for solicitation.
So probably about 3 months in, probably, something like that. How many trading card series have you been involved with now? Not including the set you do.
Oh, like professional?
Mm-hmm.
I think I just listed them all. That's about it, yeah.
How did that come about?
Well, it's always been my kind of a dream to work for Topps, because especially Wacky Packages, and I was a big Wacky Package collector because, I'm older than I look, I hope. But back in '73, I was like just a snot-nosed kid, grab my nickel every Saturday, run to the drugstore, and buy my 4 cards, for a nickel, and I collected Wacky Packages, so...
You could buy 4 card packs for a nickel?
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
And a piece of cardboard gum, so... Yeah.
Cardboard gum.
Yeah, so that was great, but yeah, so, it's kind of a dream come true. All these years later, I'm actually drawing them for them, which is kind of cool.
Yeah, that's very cool.
Yeah, so that came about just because I was doing my own sketch cards, and someone said, "Oh, you got to join like the Garbage Pail Kids forum on Facebook," and so I got involved with that group, and then eventually, got in with like the sketch card artists, and then I got the contact to Topps and sent them some samples, and boom, there I am.
The question I've had for a while, there are a lot of artists that you see around cons who are doing images that are Garbage Pail Kid, let's just say inspired. When you work for Topps, as you are currently doing, how big of a no-no is that?
Well, according to the contracts through Topps, basically you can't reproduce any of the art that you've done for them.
Okay.
Like if you did a sketch card, you can't I want to print of this. And,
So that'd be a standard contract you'd have with most companies.
But in terms of doing inspired, unless that Topps frowns down upon doing sets with like a similar logo.
Okay.
Or, similar, like, and there's a lot of them out there. There's
Right.
a lot of sets. In fact, I actually was asked to do, and I did do it, one card for my friend Jason Bowens. He did a 420 Kids. And so it's all like marijuana inspired and stuff. So I did one card for him. But in terms of, art is art. If you're inspired by something and influenced by something, you shouldn't be chastised for creating something from it. Because we're all influenced by someone or something. Mm-hmm. So,
by influence, though, I more meant direct rip.
Oh, okay. Well, like if I did like a Dead Ted or whatever, which I actually did on a Walking Dead cover today.
That's original art, though, so that doesn't matter.
Yeah, it's original art, and
There's a big difference in the copyright world between doing original art and making a print or a T-shirt out of something.
Right, because if I stole, because Garbage Pail Kids have a lot of well-known artists, like Jay Lynch and Tom Hound, I think, Brent Ingstrom and everything. If I, flat out stole theirs and said this is Floyd original,
Right.
I mean, even though I redrew it or whatever, that's kind of not good. But so you do variants on it and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, it's just like any print, like Deadpool prints or anything like that,
Right.
But see, I try to, with my art, what I try to do is I try to stick by the legal loophole, which is like, if they come after me for copyright, it's like, no, it's parody, it's satire.
Right.
So I go with that angle because it's like, because that's legal. It's like, I didn't steal the characters. It's a parody of the character.
I would definitely say your stuff falls more in line with parody. So
good.
When you're doing Deadpool, I don't think anyone's going to be like, "Oh, that's an Ed McGuinness piece that you're ripping off." It's very definitely a parody piece.
Well, and then like the big thing is the people that just do like a Photoshop filter over someone else's art.
Which
is a big no-no.
That's a big no-no with everyone.
Right.
That's going to get you lynched in Artist Alley eventually if you keep doing that.
True. So true. Yeah. So that's the good thing is I try to be unique and. It's whatever comes out of my head, whatever needs to escape. I need to let it out.
Right.
And so a lot of my ideas and stuff are original.
So you're interested in doing comics ever again?
Well, the thing about comics, because like especially self-publishing, it's always in your blood.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I have some comic. I have a lot of stories actually started, but just the time, the money. The return is just why put all of this money and time into like a 32-page book sell for like $5 when I can make 3 or 4 times more just doing like a 2.5 by 3.5 inch card.
If you're going to do it just a self-published route, then I can see that.
Right. I mean, you still do it for the love of it.
Right.
And that's why I was so poor all throughout my small press days. Is nobody made money.
Right.
This was before print on demand and computers and everything.
It was actually taboo to make money.
Right. And what we did was in the small press community was we traded. Some guy said, "Oh, you want a copy of my comic?" I'm like, "Yeah." You want a copy of mine? Yeah. So we just traded by snail mail. So I've got a lot of like 80s, 90s, just run to Kinko's, stay there all night long, collate, stay pull, and I miss those days really. But
so you did self-publishing the really hard way.
Yep, bare bones. Yeah.
So in my generation, we don't understand that as much because Kablam existed, Comics Press existed.
Well, and even computers. I actually got typesetting, the transfer lettering, and did type, letter at a time. It's all crooked and everything, and, because that's before I even had a computer to type things.
So there was no illustrator to do to do lettering. So you had to. Was that like a lettering guide? Is that what that was?
No. They come in sheets.
In sheets?
Yeah. And
okay, I've never seen one of these.
Oh, yeah. See, that's how old I am. Yeah. It's like Zipatone. You ever hear of Zipatone?
Yes,
yeah.
I've heard of Zipatone.
Okay, it's like Zipatone only with letters. So, it's letter set. Yeah.
So have you done any self-publishing since it became, I guess
yes, I have.
You'd say easier?
Oh, God, yeah. I did a small press review zine called Cologne. And the first issue, I just wanted to do a small press review zine the way that I wanted to do a small press review zine. Because there wasn't anything
and
really.
For our listeners, what is a review zine?
Okay, exactly. A review zine is like a news. It like I got a bunch of small press books from my buddies, and I reviewed them, and would put like I had like a 5 eyeball rating on and I went through production and content and art and everything, and it was a lot of fun. It was a lot of work. But the first issue, I actually did do the Kinko's route because I said, I'm going to do a review zine and I'm going to do it in 24 hours. And I did. And it came out, just this little digest thing. But then the next one, I'm like, okay, now I'm really going to like concentrate. And it came out like, it was great because I went through print on demand, and full gloss color cover. I got some of my artist buddies involved in doing some spot illustrations, and I did articles, and so I actually ended up doing 3 issues of that, and was really happy with them. So, but that was back in 2005.
Was it a monetary
2006.
decision to quit doing that, or what?
That was part of it, yeah. Monetary and time,
Okay.
yeah. So I just didn't have the resources. Life just kind of got in the way,
Yeah, it happens
So-
a lot in creating,
Yeah.
unfortunately.
But it was, it was well received, and it was fun to do because I did a little news section, and I did my research and all this other stuff. So it was great.
So I met you through doing cons, and you do probably just as many as I do currently.
Yeah.
So what's the con life like right now for you, and what you got coming up con-wise?
I love the con life because it's like like I tell people, it's like a traveling gypsy camp. Because we don't see these people, but you meet all these new people, and then you see them at the next con. It's like, how you doing? It's like extended family kind of. So my con schedule has increased in the last couple of years, and this year I've got this. This is the first show of the year,
Right.
which is actually going really well.
That's good. Good to hear.
Yeah, next show is the Oregon Coast Con at Tillamook. It's at the Air Museum, March 24th,
Okay.
which is the beginning of spring break here in Oregon. Well, they're in Oregon.
That'll be interesting.
Yeah, and I did Oregon Coast Con last year, and it was a blast because those people are hungry, and they just
Yeah, the areas that don't get Comic Cons very
they don't
frequently.
get the exposure to it.
Yeah.
So I'm
They're
looking
usually
forward to
great.
that. Yeah.
Oh
After
my God,
that,
there's a little hobbit over there.
oh, I know. She bought card set and stuff from me.
Sorry for interrupting. We just saw a little
she
2-year-old
actually-
hobbit.
She bought a rat fink and a Halloween horror set from me. So I'm like,
Adorable.
yep.
Okay,
and the
so-
girl's like trying to get me the ring. Okay. But anyway, okay. So anyway, after that is Cherry City,
Okay.
which is in April.
And you've done all the Cherry Cities thus
All
far?
the Cherry Cities.
Okay.
I kind of got grandfathered in
Mm-hmm.
as being a guest every year.
Okay.
Because I
So your
did
guest status there?
right because I did the poster for the very first Cherry City.
Oh, okay. So
And
you got
that's
a
an
good connection
interesting
there.
story in itself because at the time, Mark Martin, who was running Cherry City, he had a contest, designed a poster for Cherry City. I'm like, okay, I'm game. So I did the poster, sent it in to him, didn't hear anything. And then I was corresponding with him, and I'm like, hey, whatever happened to that poster contest? He's like, oh, well, Floyd, you won. I'm like, well, thanks for telling me. I'm like, what did I win? He's like, oh, I don't know yet. I'm like, well, how about table space? He's like, you got it. So, and then of course there was a big, shuffling because he did some unscrupulous things, and so it was taken over by John Roach and BAM Productions. And John liked the poster, so he kept it, and liked me, so he kept me. So, so I've been there every year now. It's going to be year 4, I believe, for Cherry City.
Seemed like it'd been
Or
more
5.
than that.
Maybe
but
it's 5. I can't.
5 sounds more.
I think
Yeah,
it
more
might
like
be
it.
5. Yeah.
And then what's coming up after Cherry City?
After Cherry City, I'll probably do a free comic book day. Hopefully, I'll be invited back to Tony's Kingdom of Comics in Kaiser. After that, the only thing I really have planned is Restorama, which is the car show down in Salem, Oregon State
And
Fairgrounds.
this is a car show, but you do well as an artist there.
I do very well as an artist, yeah. Those guys are great because it's a whole different crowd. Because the Comic-Con crowd, the fanboys are like, they'll look at your stuff and they'll say, that's really cool, and then they'll walk away. The car show crowd, they're like, oh my God, that's incredible. You keep doing what you're doing, man. That is so cool. And and all of a sudden they throw money at me, and I'm like, okay, I like this place. I like these people. So they're really good people.
And how many years have you done that show?
This will be year 3.
Year 3, okay.
Yeah, and that's put on by Cherry City Bombers, which is a car club in Salem, and they do a really good job. So they're getting more vendors every year and whatnot. So that's always fun. After that is going to be, I'm going to get into Yukon hopefully again in Eugene, and we're thinking about expanding up to Tacoma to Jet City. Jet City show.
Have you ever done Jet City before?
I haven't done Jet City.
I did Jet City all the years it was in Seattle, but I
Yeah.
haven't done it in Tacoma yet.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I've heard mixed things.
Yeah?
Yeah. The friends who are very, very honest with me have stated if you have some place to stay,
Yeah.
it can be a pretty good show.
Ah.
But it being 2 days can be a killer for the show.
Yeah.
It was only 1 day when it was in Seattle.
Oh, really?
Yeah, so I was kind of surprised that they moved it
Yeah.
to a 2-day event when
Oh.
it came to
Oh.
when it came to Tacoma. But I've been thinking about trying it again because all my experience with it is as a Seattle-based show.
Yeah,
So-
because I met a lot of artists from the Seattle area
Mm-hmm.
when I went up to Crypticon.
Right,
And I didn't set up at Crypticon. But I still made money, which is great.
right.
And because I'm walking around, I'm like, hey, look at this coffin-shaped bookmark I drew with zombies on it. And they're like, oh, that's cool, you know, how much, how much? And so I made some good money while just visiting, you know. But met a lot of cool people, so hopefully I'll see them at Jet City. I haven't
Right.
seen them for a while. But yeah, I'm looking forward to that. So
Yeah, Crypticon is a very unique show.
It is.
Because
It
it's
is.
it's easier for me to make money there than it is in any comic show. But
I believe it.
I think that's probably because, I appeal to the horror crowd more than anything.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. No, I agree, and I've always wanted to set up there, but again, it's like the hotel costs and everything. I just
The
can't.
hotel costs are expensive.
Table costs really aren't that
but-
bad. So
You could probably find one of us to split a hotel with, number
that's
one.
true.
I have only not made money there 1 year.
Really.
And that was a year that I didn't have anything new on my table.
Oh.
And so everything I had, people had already seen. I haven't had the opportunity to do Crypticon for 2 years now. I really wanted to return this year, but it sold out so quickly.
Yeah, I noticed that.
But I'm really, really, really hoping that I get in there in time in 2019, or maybe I can be waitlisted this year. I'm actually going to message them and see
Yeah.
if
Cool.
I can get on the wait list. But I definitely recommend doing Crypticon. I've had a lot of luck
Yeah.
at shows
Well,
that
I don't know
aren't
if it-
of the comic nature, like the horror shows,
Yeah.
the tattoo
See,
shows.
and I have some horror themed stuff too.
Right.
You know, my cards and some of my prints and
Yeah,
And
and the
so-
group you get in there is very cross because you'll have your people there who want things related to the Universal monsters,
Yeah.
and then you'll have people who
Which is
collect
what I
the
do.
slasher stuff
Right.
like Halloween, and then you
Jason
have the
and
people
Freddy
who
and-
want the original things like like Chronicles of Von Helsing that I'm publishing,
Yeah.
and Who Will Save the World and things of that nature.
Right.
And so the crowd there is pretty exceptional because it's just
a
a
very-
big cross of people looking for different
yeah,
sorts of
I
experiences.
describe it as a very literary crowd.
It is. And then the afterlife at Crypticon hasn't been beat by any con I've ever been to. Because
This is true.
they have burlesque shows you can go to
I
for
went to the
free.
burlesque one when I went up there.
They
last
have
night.
like the movie premieres that are like the independent horror movies that you can go watch for free, and they
Yeah.
have Biohazard, which is this big open bar party
Yeah.
where you pay like
Yep.
$1 a drink,
Yeah.
and and it's well drinks,
Oh,
but
yeah.
who cares? It gets
Yeah.
you messed up. So
Yeah, because my friends go up there every year. They get
Mm-hmm.
a good group, and my friend Joe Sherlock, who does independent horror movies, and I've been in a couple of them. And so he always has premieres and stuff. If he has one, he hasn't worked on one for a while, but so that's a lot of fun.
yeah, Crypticon is a fantastic show. I love that show.
Yeah.
It is probably my favorite show out of
Really?
all of them that I regularly do. Yeah, I totally know what you mean about the hotel stay, but it hasn't been a killer for me thus far.
Yeah. Well,
There hasn't
now,
been a-
and now they moved it from Memorial Day to like the same weekend as Free Comic Book Day, which is not.
It's not, but
It hurts us. But
there
not the horror
are
crowd
so
necessarily.
few comic creators at Crypticon, which is also a benefit if you're doing the art because you got a lot of the people who are selling VHS tapes that are horror. You got a lot of people selling like jewelry. You got this and that. You have a good cross selection of various crafters. And one of the things I've experienced there a lot is people who have been to ECC and then go to Crypticon
Yeah.
and they're like, oh my God, horror comics, I can only find things that look like My Little Pony at ECC. And, and they get tired of looking because there's 400,000 vendors there,
Yeah, exactly.
And so Crypticon's small enough that they can really check
Right.
it out and, all that.
Yeah. Speaking of My Little Pony, it's funny. It reminds me of my friend Stan Yan, who he came up with a great idea. He does ponies versus zombies. So he'll either draw you a My Little Pony, or he'll draw you as a zombie, zombie catchers, or he'll draw zombie ponies. Which is great. And he's
That's
really good,
fantastic.
So, yeah.
Where can people find you online?
People can find me online, www.planetfstudios.com. My outdated website that I need to update.
Don't we all?
Yeah. I'm under Facebook, Planet F Studios, and Facebook. I have an Instagram and a Twitter, but I never use them, and I don't
You should
know how
use Instagram more.
I got to figure it out. I'm old school,
I
so.
don't have as many followers on Instagram as I do Facebook or Twitter for that matter, but my engagement on Instagram is higher than it is on any other platform.
Right. Oh, okay.
And since you're an artist, Instagram
Right.
is indispensable.
Yeah, and I'm also still working on my Rocking Dead series, which will be zombie rock stars, and I've still got lined up a bunch of my Garbage Pail Kids artist friends to do sketch cards for it, and so I'm excited about that. Working on.
When should that see released? Do you know?
It was supposed to be released last year, but the whole Tops thing kind of got in the way.
Oh, okay.
Because they give you just outrageous deadlines and not much time to do
Right.
anything else. So I'm hoping by the end of the year I'll at least have all the cards drawn, all the base cards, and then get going on it probably next year.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
And also plan on starting up a Patreon account one of these days.
Well, when you do, we'll have you back on the podcast so you can pitch it.
Definitely, yeah. Oh, and we're going to be, me and Steve, my roadie, we're going to be starting our own podcast too. So
Awesome.
yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
Well, you're going to have me on there. So.
Oh, definitely. Definitely. You're on the list, man. So.
All right. Well, thank you very much for being on the podcast.
Cool. Thanks for having me.
That's it for today's show. Please tune in next week for another installment of the Darkslinger Mafia podcast. The Ghost Assassin Kickstarter is still going. We're currently at 40% funded. Please head over to www.ghostassassin.net to view Ghost Assassin on Kickstarter. I'm Adam Watson. Thank you for listening.